Window World is proud to present Kevin Keatsman Has Issues. Simply the best for less at windowskansascity.com.
The devil is always in the details. And did we get a chance to see that this week? While Boris Johnson was taking questions and Joe Biden wasn't at their news conference, we learned what's really going on in the aftermath. The operatives running the Biden presidency are really ticked off that Johnson took questions without alerting them he may do so. You have to hear these arrogant comments. It didn't take long for a couple of Afghan refugees we saved to commit heinous crimes in America. 2 Afghans at Fort McCoy in Wisconsin are charged with serious crimes against women and girls. Who knew? One involves raping girls under the age of 16. What the hell is going on? We do have a couple wins this week. One is a conservative victory over a school board in California, and another in the South Carolina Supreme Court. We'll fill you in on those. The Royals are talking about a new downtown ballpark, but Kansas City has zero appetite for it right now. This is a giant hill to climb for the Royals, as only 20% of Kansas Cityans support the idea. We'll share our thoughts on how this could be financed in a way that's acceptable to voters. And Lamar Jackson throws some serious shade at the Chiefs' defense, and he may not even know he did it. The Chiefs' defense is dead last in almost every category that matters. This is looking like 2018 all over again. It has to be fixed. Stat. Brought to you by Roberts Robinson, Chevrolet Buick GMC in Excelsior Springs. These folks would love to work on your car. They got a great award-winning service department. Whether it's an oil change or you need something big done with your car, Roberts Robinson will do it. They'll even pick your car up for you, take it to the shop, fix it, and bring it back to you. It's a wonderful service. It's concierge service at Roberts Robinson. Take them up on it. They'd love to service any make or model, not just GM. At Roberts Robinson, they like to make it easy for their customers. That's it. That's what customers say. We just make it easy. It's really the case. Shop online and see what new cars and pre-owned inventory they have at robertsrobinson.com, or give them a call and build your own. You build that car just like I did and have it exactly to the specs you want. They'll get it delivered to the factory, from the factory to their showroom, or to your house at robertsrobinson.com. Chevrolet, find new roads. Bstock.net. Let's see. This week we've got the Samsung Q60A 75-inch for $999. It retails for $1,300 at Best Buy. This is the ultra-intense 4K vivid color with sharpened clarity. You're going to love it. They've also got a Vizio 70. Some of these left with HDMI 2.1. They support the newest gaming systems, only $629. Great deals. And if you just want a new big screen for football season, these are great options for non-gamers. 70 and 75-inch Samsung TVs for $499 and $599. Apple MacBook Pros are still in stock at bstock.net, 14680 South Flaming Road. Elite Automation, designing and installing intelligent building automation systems that save you thousands off your utilities. They also work as a consultant at no cost to you. They'll come to your building. They'll say, here's what we think you're doing right. Here's what you're doing wrong. Let's try it this way. And when your energy costs go down, you share in those savings with Elite Automation. They'll just be your consultant. It costs you nothing to try. It can only save you money. Why wouldn't you make that call? At your business, your school, your church, your warehouse. It's EliteAutomate.com or 913-766-2188. And TJ Vilkanskis and my friends at Back 9 Development, a custom home builder. Commercial properties, custom homes, room additions, even condominium projects like the Solheim at Grand Mere in Manhattan on the Colbert Hills Golf Course. You want a free tour? TJ will tour those facilities with you and show you their pool, workout facility, covered parking, and their upscale condominiums. Nothing like it in the Midwest. For second homes, investment properties, or your kids could stay there when they go to college at K-State. It's back9development.com. Man, the Biden administration, we've always talked about how it's the people behind the scenes that are running this and not him. There's a very little thing that happened in the aftermath of that Boris Johnson news conference that 100% proves that point. That is up first at KKHI. Hit it!
Sports, politics, life. Buck Roofing presents Kevin Keatsman Has Issues.
Tucked away in this fine print of Joe Biden's little miniature news conference with Boris Johnson from the United Kingdom and the work that Biden is doing with the UN and and the lack of work that he's doing on the southern border of the United States is a very telling description of what is going on within the Biden administration. And it absolutely verifies what we have all believed from the beginning, and that is Joe Biden is not really in charge, that this is a machine, this is an administration, this is an operation, a collection of people that are political operatives, beholden to all types of donors, money, corporations that have orchestrated the greatest change in the history of the United States since the Revolutionary War, really. And that is completely changing this democracy. We see what they're doing right before our eyes. But it all came out in this little moment at the White House in the Oval Office with Boris Johnson. Now, I'm not going to rehash what we have talked about, what happened on that incident. You know, if you've listened to the other podcasts, what happened in this incident. It was a photo op with Boris Johnson and Joe Biden. And apparently, Joe Biden doesn't take questions, so Joe Biden wasn't going to take any questions. But Boris Johnson's sitting there, and the British reporters are hollering at him, and he says, yeah, I'll take some questions from you guys. And he takes 3 questions, and then the American reporters want to shout questions at Joe Biden, and the staff, the administration, the operatives shout the entire thing down, and it never happens. They say, we're not taking any questions. Well, there was fallout over this over 24 hours. People in the press are not going to let this go, and I respect them for that. And so Jen Psaki has her news conference, and it does feel like Jen Psaki's in charge of the United States, to be honest. She's out there so much and such a front person, it seems like really she's running the country, or at least she thinks she's running the country. And so she's asked about what happened, and if Joe Biden is upset or if it was a mistake and Joe Biden should have taken questions. And she says, and goes on this sort of long answer that is non-descriptive, but the devil is in the details here. She went on to say, we will be able to move beyond this. Okay? Because the relationship with Boris Johnson is strong. But she also said Joe Biden hasn't thought about this twice. He's not concerned. It's no big deal. But then she said, we will be able to move beyond this because our relationship with the United Kingdom is so strong. It's very simple. The handlers are in charge. They're pissed. They're really mad at Boris Johnson. Psaki said, Boris Johnson called on individuals in the press corps without alerting us. These are her words. Boris Johnson called on individuals in the press corps without alerting us. In other words, we're in charge. It ain't Joe. You and Joe sitting there are not in charge. It isn't your people that are in charge. We are in charge. Boris Johnson took questions without alerting us that he was going to do that. As if to say, does he not freaking understand that we control everything? That this team of people behind Joe Biden is in charge of the world right now. That we run this, and you came here, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom came to the Oval Office and took questions without telling us you were going to do that? So now the Biden administration is really mad at Boris Johnson, which is never a good thing. And the countries are allies and so strong that it will be okay. But this is the window. This is the peak. This is the lowering of the curtain as to what is actually going on with the Biden administration. That Jen Psaki and her team and the people behind the scenes are upset with Boris Johnson because the prime minister, the duly elected prime minister of the United Kingdom, not them, not the people that are hired from the sham election that we had in the United States last year, not the operatives, those people. Nobody elected Jen Psaki or any of these wackos behind the scenes at the White House to do anything. Right? They are the machine. They're the deep state. They came along. They got this because Biden won. We're going to prop Weekend at Bernie, Sleepy Joe up on his chair, and we're going to run the country behind the scenes. And I'll be damned if Boris Johnson's going to come in here and take questions without telling us. That's her official stance. Boris Johnson, just so you know what the hell happened here, this ain't on Joe. This isn't Joe Biden didn't do anything wrong. Boris Johnson called on individuals in the press corps without alerting us. But our relationship's strong. We'll be able to move past this. At the same time, she says Joe doesn't care, hasn't thought about it twice, whatever. No, of course he hasn't. He doesn't care. He doesn't know. It's the people behind the scenes. They can't believe it happened. Folks, as things go, this is so small. This is not 13 soldiers getting killed at an airport in Afghanistan. This is not a drone strike killing civilians. This is not 10,000 Haitians under a bridge in Texas that have flooded across the border. This is not any of these things. This is not the economy and what's going to happen with our economy in the coming years. This is not $3.5 trillion. This is none of those issues. But sometimes the fine print is everything. And that's the case here. We've all said it. The people behind the scenes are running things. They're in charge. They're doing this. They're doing that. These people are crazy with power, and they are unelected. And they are well-funded, and they know that after their years of service here at the White House, they will go on to make millions and millions of dollars as whatever, as lobbyists. Jen Psaki can go back to CNN. Imagine the money she'll make there next time. All these people, it's a giant power grab. It's a money grab. They don't give one iota about the United States of America. It's about them, their power, their careers, their destiny, their elite lives. This is the disconnect in the United States of America between the people who make the country go, the people that work, the people that live. And I'm not just talking about, blue collar or lower end workers. I'm talking about people with small businesses, maybe are millionaires or multimillionaires that work their ass off and keep their business going and just go and go and go. That's what fuels this country. These are great American people that understand the work ethic, the challenges, the history of our country, of what American exceptionalism is, what individualism is. These are the people that make it go. And we have these elitists behind the scenes that have nothing to do with that. It's like, I got my education, I've got my resume, I'm going to go get my job. Whether I do this well or not doesn't matter, because I'm going to make a lot of money after I'm out of here. Because working at the White House doesn't pay as well as the private sector. And that's all it is. It's a trampoline to something better. They're just bouncing to something better. And they believe they are in complete control of the planet right now. We'll have people die in Afghanistan because we're pulling out, so what? That collateral damage. People, crazy things happen at the border, collateral damage. We have 2 Afghan refugees now. 2 Afghans. We just flew out. This didn't take long. 2 that we put on fancy airplanes, flew them here from Afghanistan. Supposedly we vetted all these people, right? Put them on a plane, flew them here, sent them to Fort McCoy in Wisconsin, where we keep an eye on them. We don't really know what to do with these people yet, so they're mostly in military bases or military towns. We have 2 Afghan refugees, both charged with federal crimes. This week, 1 man raped 2 girls younger than 16. Let's just stop right there. Again, these people running this country don't care that they loaded these people up, brought them over, we got out. Now, I assume these are 2 American girls. Maybe they were some Afghan refugee girls. It doesn't say. They're not going to say they're minors. 1 man raped 2 girls younger than 16. Do you know why? Because that's acceptable in Afghanistan. They don't see age as anything. If they're attracted to a girl, they do what they want. That's their culture. They do not respect women in any way, shape, or form. They are largely regarded as sex toys that are properties of a man that must remain covered up in public, and I'll do whatever I want when I'm at home. Another man assaulted his wife, an Afghan refugee, assaulted his wife, strangled and suffocated her, and was arrested and faces up to 10 years in jail. The rapist is 30 years plus if convicted. So this is really nice. So this is what we're doing in this country. We're just bringing everybody in. We don't care. They can ignore it. Americans are getting hurt. You think you're strapped with your tax dollars that are going to pay for all this, an economy that's going to crumble, a non-traditional, non-American demographic. These people will not assimilate into America. They will not understand the Constitution. They don't understand the concept of one nation under God. It is not their God. This is just unbelievable what's happening in this country. And these people behind Joe Biden, this force behind him, don't care. What they care about is that Boris Johnson called on individuals in the press corps without alerting them. How dare he come in here and not alert us that he was going to take questions? He made our Sleepy Joe look bad. Does he not know that we're in charge? Now, our relationship is really strong, so we're going to be able to move beyond this, but boy, we're mad at Boris Johnson. You're mad at Boris Johnson. If they just came up with a fraction of the anger that they have at a Trump voter or Boris Johnson or somebody like that for doing something like this, and focus that toward Afghan refugees raping girls younger than 16, it would be a better look for them. If they just took a fraction of what bothers them about Boris Johnson and focused it on closing the border, they could close the border within a week. This wouldn't take long at all. It just wouldn't take long at all. But make no mistake about it, it's the little things that matter. And minutia, fine print, frequently can tell you all you need to know about the big picture of what's going on. And I think that just happened in a very large way this week by the comments from the White House about Boris Johnson's behavior and how upset they are about it, saying that, well, we'll be able to move beyond it. But, these people think they're in charge. Why would Jen Psaki, why would anybody that works in the Biden administration that's not an elected official, why would any of them at any moment ever think they have any say over Boris Johnson? This is absurd on its face. This is crazy. These people think they can tell Boris Johnson what to do. Of course you have meetings about protocol, and here's what we're going to do. Well, Boris Johnson can do what he wants. He's the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He doesn't take orders from Jen Psaki about whether we're taking questions or not. And maybe he was grandstanding a little bit, showing up Sleepy Joe. Good for him. I got no problem with that. He probably thinks Joe Biden as president is a joke. If you were sitting having a pint with him in his house, he'd probably say that's a joke that guy's in charge. It's the people behind him, and they're Nazis. Those people are crazy. The people behind him are crazy. And, they got all this stuff and all these rules and all these mandates. No, we saw it this week. We see it. The people behind the scenes are really mad. So the reporters are mad at Joe Biden. The people behind the scenes are mad at Boris Johnson and the reporters. It's chaos. I'm telling you, I've worked in press corps, not a White House press corps, but I've worked around. It's no different. Teams. It's the same thing at City Hall. If your beat is the Kansas City, Missouri City Hall and Quentin Lucas and the council and those people, it is crazy how this stuff works. It is tumultuous. It is never smooth, but sometimes it's smoother than others. It was smooth under Trump because they were all basically on the same page. They just focused their ridiculousness at Trump, and that was that. That was just the name of the game. This is real conflict. The people behind the scenes are wanting to get mad at Boris Johnson. The press are mad at Joe Biden. Joe Biden doesn't know what's going on. This is real conflict. And so, the people behind the scenes are going to turn on the media here for making this a story and for bringing it up. And I'm glad they did. And I wish they would bring up the Afghan refugee story, because 2 Afghans in Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, raping girls younger than 16 and strangling and suffocating their wife is unacceptable behavior in this country. Note to Afghan men, this is not how we live here. This is unacceptable. Lock them up, throw away the key. We won't. We'll have a 18-month re-education process, try to teach them, hey, you can't treat women like this, and we'll release them back out, and they'll do it again. We do have a couple of wins this week. One is in Southern California. I like to point out wins on the podcast when we can. Granite Hills High School in Southern California. They were doing a fundraiser, and they came up with a really good idea. How about if we paint parking stalls and sell them off as a fundraiser for, I don't know, some nice school event, charity, whatever. They said, this is a good idea. Let's paint parking stalls, and if you want to buy that parking spot, we've raised the money. So they've got a wide variety of different things they're going to paint on these parking spots, as you can imagine. And a couple of students came up and said, we want 5 spaces. We're going to build red, white, and blue American flag honoring veteran service members parking spots and sell those off. And Granite Hills High School in Southern California immediately said, oh, hell no, you're not. We're not putting something as controversial as the American flag on a parking spot. You are not going to honor veterans here. No. Well, it took about 24 hours for chaos to ensue and parents to go crazy because they saw the other things that were going to be allowed. You can only imagine what those are. And then members of the local VFW stepped up and notified people at the high school, listen, this is honor. What's crazy is the people that run places like Granite Hills High School don't know. They don't understand. They don't understand patriotic America. They don't understand veterans of foreign wars. They don't understand service members. They don't understand any of this. They don't even understand that this is an honor, that this is a good thing, that somebody would want to buy this spot, that this may be the highest price parking spot you sell. It is just beyond their grasp. I don't think they were trying to do something really harmful in this case, necessarily anti-American. I think they might have just thought, well, no, that's not really something I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe it's completely anti-American. I shouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt, that's for sure. But it does seem like they were kind of dumb, because when the VFW got a hold of them and said, hey, this is honoring us, they changed their mind. They're like, oh, okay. We didn't know this was a good thing. We thought this was symbolism of hatred and division in a country that shouldn't have been founded the way it was. We thought it was a negative. We didn't want to paint a negative on the ground. We didn't know this was a positive. And the VFW says, are you people crazy? And they're like, well, yeah, I guess we are a little crazy. It will change our mind. And so they're going to paint these things. And I promise you, those will be the highest price stalls that they have. But that's a good win. It's a good win. We got to educate these people that we like the American flag. Most Americans like the American flag. Most Americans like veterans and respect their service and want to honor them and honor the traditions of this country. It's funny. Tradition is a great word. I don't know anybody that doesn't love tradition, except in the case of the United States of America. We love our college traditions. We love our family traditions. We love all kinds of traditional things. Everybody loves tradition all around the world. Afghans love their tradition and culture. We respect the hell out of that. We want them to bring that here. They don't need to learn ours or respect ours or whatever. We respect that they have theirs. I know women get raped. Come on, and girls get raped. Big deal. They've got their culture and tradition, and we've got ours, and ours is awful. We have to get rid of ours. This country should never have been founded the way it was founded. It's so sad that these people think that way, but that's a win. Granite Hills High School in Southern California. We also have a win in the South Carolina Supreme Court. In 2000, in South Carolina, as part of a compromise to take down all Confederate flags from state house buildings, the state house, the Capitol, anything that's a state building, we're taking the Confederate flag down. They passed the South Carolina Heritage Act, which states very clearly, we're taking the flag down as a symbol of oppression, but we will not rewrite our history. Our monuments that are up, our street names, we will remember what we were as we become better and try to form a more perfect union, or in this case, a more perfect state. We will not have our heritage and our ancestors who died on both sides of the struggle. By the way, both sides of the fight, we will not forget. We will not forget what was fought here. We will not forget the blood that was spilled here. We will not forget what happened in this country. We will always remember. Doesn't matter the side you were on at this point. None of that matters. But they passed the South Carolina Heritage Act. And the Supreme Court, how often do you hear this? Unanimously decided on Wednesday that it is absolutely illegal in the state of South Carolina to rename or remove a monument or a street name or a statue without passing a new law. You'll have to vote on it. You'll have to vote and pass it to get rid of it. Then you can do it. But you can't decide you don't want this anymore and it's coming down. A city council can't do that. You have to pass a law. You have to vote on it because it's against the South Carolina Heritage Act. And it was a unanimous decision by the Supreme Court. That you don't hear very often, and I applaud the state of South Carolina for that. That's pretty cool. KKHI is brought to you by Window World, simply the best for less. I don't talk a lot about Window World because you hear them at the start of every podcast. Man, John Gillette and his company, these are great people. They work all throughout the state of Missouri and Kansas, and they have 0% financing available right now on American-made windows and doors. They're the official window provider of the Kansas City Chiefs. I have, in my previous house, I had several replacement windows from Window World. I had a storm door that went out to my deck. They have doors. They've got all kinds of great products. They'll do siding and insulation and different things like that as well. They can really spruce your house up, save your energy costs, and get you quality windows that'll last a lifetime. Nobody installs more windows in the Kansas City area or the Midwest than Window World. They're number one. Their product is number one by Qualified Remodeler Magazine. There's a reason why. They're great products at a great price. Their installers are top-notch, and they can help you with your home. Many of you have called Window World, 816-799-0820. Give them a call if you got a leaky window, 816-799-0820. Again, 0% financing available on American-made windows and doors online at windowskansascity.com. Dr. Jeremy Fry and his team at Fry Orthodontics offering shorter treatment times. The average treatment time in most offices is 24 months. At Fry, they average 17 months for braces and 12 months for Invisalign. So let me restate that. Most orthodontists, it takes 2 years. Invisalign at Fry takes 12 months. They run on time with treatment and on time for their appointments. There's never waiting. It just runs smoothly. All medical offices make you wait, but we run on time at Fry Orthodontics. Honest to goodness, they do. I know. Abby went there, and they are absolutely on time. They know that your time is precious. Online at fryorthodontics.com. 360 Document Solutions, serving Western Missouri and the entire state of Kansas. Mark Lindquist and his team would love to come out and do an analysis of what you're doing at your office. This is copiers, printers, IT solutions, mailing systems, phone systems. They can help with this. If you're leasing equipment right now, if you have big HP copiers and toner, you're paying too much. Now, I'm telling you right now, if HP's at your office, you're just setting money on fire. And Mark will find you better equipment at a lower cost. They can get you out of the leases that you're in right now with your current equipment. Call Mark Lindquist at 360 Document Solutions, and they'll come out for a complimentary analysis of everything you're doing and help you save money and be more productive. 913-745-5344, online at 360documentsolutions.com. And Pro Partners Healthcare, online at propartnershealthcare.com, a direct primary care family practice in Leawood and the Northland. Use along with your current insurance as a concierge healthcare service, basically. You can still save money because you won't have the copays, the meds. One trip to the ER will pay for 2 years of membership to Pro Partners Healthcare. So this really is worth looking into. You can save money, and it is great for small businesses. Really great for small businesses. Dr. Troy Burns and his team would love to work with you and your family. ProPartnersHealthcare.com. Okay, downtown baseball is a topic again in Kansas City, and in my opinion, this is 20 years too late, but I guess I'm on board for it. I love a vibrant downtown Kansas City. I'd have to see what the financing looks like. There is absolutely no support for this anywhere in Kansas City, as Remington Research has put out a poll in the last few days. This is via John Holt at Fox 4. If there is a 50-50 split between taxpayers and the ball team, 20% of people in Kansas City support a downtown ballpark, 60% oppose. This thing's dead on arrival at this point. If it is 100% team financed, if the team just says, we're doing this on our own, and there ain't a nickel coming from anybody else, which is never going to happen, but if they did that, 37% of Kansas City supports a new ballpark, 49% oppose. They still don't want it. They want to keep Kauffman Stadium. This is Kansas City in a nutshell. We don't like change. We don't like new things. We love the status quo. We didn't want a new arena for the longest time, even though rental car revenues were going to pay for it. There is no Kansas City or area tax money going into the T-Mobile Center to have it built. And now we love it, and we're proud of it. It's better than Kemper Arena. We're doing the same thing at the airport. It's going to be passengers, flyers, and airlines that are going to be paying for the new terminal. We were against doing that, mostly against that. I was in favor of the new arena. I was in favor of the airport. I'm in favor of these projects because of the financing. And the Royals essentially could do the same thing. If they wanted to say, we're going to use tax revenues to fund this project, there's a pretty simple way to do it that David Glass, when he owned the team, was vehemently opposed to. He simply wanted to tax the people, and he got $250 million of tax dollars. The Chiefs got the same amount. Chiefs spent a lot more of their own money. Glass was cheap. He didn't spend hardly any of his own money in renovating Kauffman Stadium. We put, about $300 million into Kauffman Stadium? Complete waste of money. Complete waste of money because you knew we were going to turn around and we're going to go downtown anyway. That's where the ballpark's going to go. Even though there are places, Atlanta's moved out of downtown into the white suburbs. Arizona's talking about it, although they've got a funding mechanism we'll get into in a moment that is keeping them where they are for a while, while they look around the valley and decide whether they want to move out of downtown. They're not completely committed to downtown, but it's all depending on financing and who's paying for what. And at this point, even with 100% team financing, Kansas Cityans are opposed to a new ballpark. Again, remember that Kansas Cityans were they were wildly against the new arena and the airport, but we've got those and we're proud of those things now. Or we will be proud of the new airport when it's open. The Royals will always have the opportunity to threaten to move to Kansas. I don't think the Royals are going to threaten to move out of town. They could if all hell really broke loose, but that would be years down the road. But they could easily threaten to go to Kansas and see if the state of Kansas would come up with some money. So they've got a little bit of leverage. These teams have always had leverage by being on the state line. The Royals' current money expires in 2031. The money that's coming in that they get, the upkeep and all this stuff, and their lease with the stadium expires in 10 years. So now is the time. It usually takes 2 to 3 years to get something approved, and it takes 5 years to build something. So the clock is ticking. In Arizona, their bonds were paid off. Everything was paid off, and everything just ended in 2019 at Chase Field. When that ended, the owners are looking around going, wait a second, we're not getting any more free money here. We like free money. We're a baseball team. We think we deserve free money from the government, from the taxpayers. And so they started moaning about, hey, we're going to move onto Native American land. That's free land for us, they'll give us, and we're going to build our own ballpark in conjunction with them, and a portion of our revenues will go straight to their tribe, and we're going to do all this. Oh, boy, Arizona got all their panty in a wad. They didn't like the sound of that because that wasn't good. This could be, if they worked it out right, something that could really lower the taxes that the state of Arizona could collect. So in Arizona, they did something that the Royals were against many years ago. They added a 9% ballpark tax. Parking, ticket, concessions, jersey, hat, anything you buy, the club would take 9% of that and dedicate that toward renovations or paying off the renovations of Chase Field. Now, this is a good idea for the Royals. This is a way to get tax dollars from people who are willing to pay it. They don't mind going to the ballpark and paying it. David Glass was of the belief that if we raise prices by 9%, that people aren't going to come. You could phase this in. If it was 3% a year for 3 years and it was implemented, you'd have your 9%. And if you do that, if you had 9% of all the revenue at Kauffman Stadium over the course of 10 years, you got a lot of money. You're well on your way to a public component. Again, that shouldn't be the owner's money. That should be what the public is saying. This is a tax. This is Kansas City, Missouri waiving some. We're waiving this. We're waiving that. We'll allow you to go up to 9% or whatever the number is. And the people who choose to come here and spend money, up 10%, a portion of that will go toward the new ballpark. This is a reasonable idea, and you have 10 years. So we'll see how it plays out and what they come up with. But that was one that David Glass was completely opposed to. He wanted every nickel that was generated at Kauffman Stadium. I mean, that guy was a shrewd and serious businessman. It wasn't a lot of fun for David Glass. It was about business. He liked baseball, but it was about business. He turned his $94 million investment into $1 billion in a very short period of time and made money along the way and got $250 million from the taxpayers. All right, this guy kicked ass. For him and himself and his family, he just crushed it. It's no wonder they've named the business school after him at Missouri State. They should. All right, he just worked over this town. He did unbelievable things. He actually worked over the other owners of baseball, too, in getting revenue sharing and creating a more level playing field for smaller markets, and won a World Series in the process. So no fans are complaining about David Glass. He won one. So John Sherman's got his own path, and it'll be interesting to see what he does. He's talked about a 50-50 split. We'll raise half the money for the ballpark. You raise half the money for the ballpark. Well, there's no support for that at all. 20% of Kansas Cityans support that at this point. So they've got some work to do. They're going to need Patrick Mahomes. They're going to need Eric Stone Street. They're going to need all these celebrities to do commercials and say, hey, this is a vibrant future. We have a new arena. We have a vibrant downtown. We have development. We have a new airport. Man, we need a new ballpark. And then people will say, well, if Patrick Mahomes says, this guy from Tyler, Texas, who throws touchdown passes, says we need a downtown ballpark, well, yeah, I'm in favor of it. Let's do it. That's what it will take. It's going to take a real push, and they know that because it truly is just cooked right now. There's no chance. They got a lot of work to do here, folks. They got a lot of work to do, and the time to do it was 15 years ago when we could have built a new downtown ballpark, a glorious, beautiful downtown ballpark for $400 million instead of the almost $300 million that was spent on Kauffman Stadium. Now we're probably looking at $1 billion. It's hey, I guess if it's going to happen, now is better than 15 years from now. So yes, because the prices always go up. But I think post-COVID, these things are even trickier than they've ever been. I don't think a lot of people have a lot of stomach for much. The way to get this done is the tax dollars have to be from users. Somehow, some way. Whether it is I hate to even say things like this because I despise things like this. A toll road, a toll bridge, something to get there, a percentage of revenue from everything derived at the ballpark, some sort of user fee, an out-of-towner tax, a hotel room tax. Most people who stay in downtown hotels are from out of town. Most, not all. But if you added a 5% tax to a hotel room and started collecting that and put it toward a downtown ballpark, you can clearly see where the hotels would gain from having a downtown ballpark. People love to drive from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours away and come to Kansas City for the weekend and go to a baseball game. There's a lot of that. Generally speaking, those people don't stay downtown. They would stay downtown if the ballpark were downtown. So maybe there's a hotel room tax, something of that nature. I don't know. Maybe there's a tax on transportation to the ballpark, buses, Uber drop-offs, things like that, that every ride share that comes within the ballpark zone pays a tax. Okay, these are user fees. They're a lot more palatable for people than just taxing the people. Income taxes suck. It's stupid. You're punished for working. If you are a person that goes to the ballpark and you want to go and you make a decision to go and you're going to buy stuff, buy a ticket, buy whatever, then there should be a tax included in that helps fund the ballpark. I'm all for that. I'm all for letting people make choices if they want to spend tax dollars. I'd be for lowering income taxes, for example, and having some sort of a national sales tax or an internet tax. I can't believe that we don't have a 1 or 2% tax on everything ordered on the internet and shipped to your house. I can't believe we don't have that. We will. Don't get me wrong. We will have that. The problem is when we have that, it won't lower your income tax. I've always felt like if we lowered income taxes, and we haven't had them all that long, we've only had them 100 years or so in this country. We went 150 years without income taxes. It's a really bad idea. Somebody said one day, let's punish people for working. It's just a horrific idea. Just a horrible idea. I feel like if income taxes were lower and you're really smart with your budget around your house and you say, look, we need a new washer and dryer, but this one isn't broken. Let's budget for this, okay? Let's save our money over a few months. Then we'll go buy the washer and dryer, and it has a 10% tax on it or some sort of a tax on it that goes to the government because, big item tax is different than groceries or whatever, and you would exempt things or a car, whatever. We would have difficulty selling as many of those things as fast as we do, but over time that would all change because you need these items. So you'd get to that point, but you could budget it. And people would say, look, okay, that's expensive. We don't like paying that tax. We can't do that this month. We'll do it next month. But you can decide on when you want to pay these taxes or if you want to pay them at all. Maybe you keep your washer and dryer longer. Maybe you drive your car an extra year. Things like that. People would get to make their decision about the tax money that they're spending. That would be the case in the ballpark, if you ask me. Then you just need to be creative and find a way to do that. If there's going to be public financing, it is user fees. It's people who use the ballpark. That's fair. That's the right way to do it. That is absolutely the right way to do it. That should not be the owner's contribution. We can't let the owner say, we're going to have a 10% ballpark tax on everything we sell here, and that's my contribution. No, because that's new revenue for you. You're increasing by 10% and putting it toward the ballpark. That is not right. That is not your money. That needs to be the public component. I just feel very strongly about this. You're hearing a lot about this. I just think it's interesting news that Remington Research did a poll, and there is no appetite for a new ballpark in Kansas City. None. I mean, absolutely none. Zero. Let's talk a little football. Lamar Jackson of the Ravens had his weekly news conference on Wednesday, and he said, man, I am really, really sore after that game. And I heard this, and I started thinking, well, what the hell's he sore from? The Chiefs never tackled him. He just run downfield and run out of bounds or slide. They didn't sack him, per se. What's he? He says he's sore from his flip in the end zone. I believe it. Lamar Jackson is a quarterback in the National Football League. He played against the Kansas City Chiefs defense, and what he is sore from after playing the Chiefs is from flipping into the end zone and landing wrong. That's why he's sore. This is not intended to be an insult. It is the ugliest, meanest shot at the Chiefs defense you can imagine. I can't think of a bigger insult. You guys didn't hurt me, but man, that time I flipped in for that easy touchdown, I hurt myself. I mean, how soft is the Kansas City Chiefs defense if Lamar Jackson is sore after that game from flipping into the end zone? He says, I didn't land right. It was kind of a failed flip, but, quote, I'd probably do it again. It was pretty cool, unquote. I feel like the Ravens won their Super Bowl Sunday night. I feel like the Chiefs used to be the Ravens. They used to have a quarterback not quite good enough to win a Super Bowl. And let's face it, Lamar Jackson is not quite good enough to win a Super Bowl. There will be teams that stop the Ravens from running the ball, and when you make him a passer, they're dead. They're done. He's not a good passer. There are teams that can do that. The Chiefs are not that team. The Chiefs defense stinks. Okay? But I can't even imagine the Chiefs. I don't even know the Chiefs are smart enough to know the insult that he's levied against them. I wasn't sore Monday. I wasn't sore Tuesday. I didn't hurt from you guys. That flip in the end zone, I hurt myself. You guys never touched me. I just ran wherever I wanted, slid when I wanted, ran out of bounds when I wanted. 109 yards, whatever. We rushed for 240 or whatever the number was. Ridiculous number, 200 plus against the Chiefs defense. So Lamar Jackson, we feel bad that he's sore, but he says he'll probably do it again. That team won its Super Bowl, folks. They need to move on from their Chiefs win and figure some stuff out because that is not a perfect football team. They've got issues too. The Chiefs defense through 2 games is dead last. They're last against the run. They're last in points scored. They're last in offensive and defensive line wins. They grade linemen now on wins. A play happens, and they look at the 2 people engaged on a play. This is every player in the league. Who has this time, by the way? Who does this? So you're the defensive end. I'm the left tackle. You're trying to rush the passer on me, and the snap happens. And on that play, whether we're either a factor in the play or not, it doesn't matter. One of us is graded out as the winner of that play. That's all they just graded as a win. If you got by me, even if Mahomes completed a pass, whatever, they look at it on film and they go, okay, the defensive lineman won that snap. Okay, so you won that one, I lost that one. They grade you out over the game. We mentioned in week 1, the Chiefs' tackles were number 63 and 64 out of tackles in the NFL in wins. They never won. It was the worst offensive line performance ever. That was against Cleveland. It was pathetic Sunday night. I haven't seen the grades this week. I know this. The Chiefs' offensive line and the defensive line grade out as the worst in the NFL in wins. So the other offensive line has dominated our defensive line and vice versa collectively. And this isn't close. Chiefs have worse scoring defense, worse run defense, dead last in wins with your line. The Chiefs are on pace to surrender 553 points this year. The record is 1981, 533 points surrendered by the Baltimore Colts. Now, that was only 16 games. The Chiefs will play 17, so it's close. It's still close to being a 16-game record they're on pace to losing. Very close. This is 2018. The Chiefs couldn't stop anybody. Andy Reid fired everybody after that year. The Chiefs still got the AFC title game because Mahomes was great, and the offense was great. They lost to the Patriots. D Ford lined up offsides. It's the kind of things crappy defenses do. D Ford lined up in the neutral zone, and the Chiefs didn't go to the Super Bowl because crappy defenses give up a lot of points are also stupid. This defense is soft. They avoid contact. It's pathetic. There's no other way to say it. I've watched so much NFL football this year, my eyeballs are popping out. And I see other defenses flying around and hitting people, and I see the Chiefs avoiding contact. It's almost like everybody has a mindset of, we're really not going to start playing hard here until December and January when it counts. This is a long season. Don't get hurt. I'm playing soft. We'll avoid contact. We'd like to drag you to the ground, and it's okay if you get 3 or 4 more yards because we got Patrick Mahomes. That's what it looks like to me. And everybody's guilty. There are no exceptions. I think the Honey Badger played about as soft a game as I've ever seen him play. He was soft in that game. Yeah, he had 2 interceptions. He made a couple big plays. I'm not saying he's not a great player, and I'm not saying he didn't do great things in that game. But, man, he didn't want any contact. He let a guy ole into the end zone. He wasn't having it. It was on first down. He's like, why am I going to throw my body at him right here and stop him at the 6-inch line when they'll just score on the next play? I'm not doing it. Ole, in you go. I saw it. It has to change. We'll watch again Sunday and see if it changes. It has to change. This Chargers offense will eat up a little more time. Well, we think, I don't know. Cleveland and Baltimore both just ran the ball and still didn't chew up a lot of clock. He's just running all over the Chiefs because their running plays were gash plays. It wasn't 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It was chunk here, chunk there, chunk everywhere. Chiefs defenders are saying all the right things. We're embarrassed. We're not spoiled. Chiefs look like a spoiled football team that knows it's going to be in the playoffs and isn't hungry enough to go get it. I thought they would be. I did. I thought they would be, and they're not. It better change fast. It really had better change. Chargers are so capable of coming in here and beating the Chiefs. That's the difference with this defense now. As bad as this defense is, the Chiefs can lose to anybody. Anytime, anywhere, somebody can put 30 on the board, and if you intercept Mahomes a couple of times, you got the Chiefs. Mahomes has just got to go out and play a flawless game, put 35 on the board, and you have to hope you can hold the other team to 34. That's where we are, and that stinks. Hey, don't forget, Saturday night is Bloomapalooza. The website is redwhiteandbluma.org. It's in Stillwell at Stonegate Motor Plaza. Noe Palma's performing, Travis Marvin. There's a shuttle from Tanner's in Overland Park at 143rd and Metcalf beginning at 5 p.m. They'll shuttle you right out there. It's a great fundraiser for military and nonprofit local charities. Amazing Garage Floors, one of our great sponsors here at KKHI, is a huge sponsor of Red, White, and Bluma. If you want more information, go to redwhiteandbluma.org. Just spell the words out, redwhiteandbluma.org. It's in Stillwell. You can get tickets at the door. It's a fundraiser. It's fun. There's live entertainment. It's good times. Stonegate Motor Plaza is really cool, and I applaud Hutch and my friends at Amazing Garage Floors for being a big sponsor of this event. It's a tremendous fundraiser. Jamie Bluma is one of the greatest Americans you'll ever meet, man. This guy's red, white, and blue through and through. He has not been, even though he made it to the major leagues, he is not a wealthy man. He blew out his arm. He didn't have a big career. He's worked just like the rest of us his whole life. He's just an average guy who loves him some America and is making a difference in Kansas City. I've got so much respect and admiration for Jamie Bluma and the work that he's done. They have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars through the years with this event, but they could always use more. They could use your help. They could use your company's help. If you can go to the website, redwhiteandbluma.org, find a way to sign up and either buy tickets, make a donation, or become a sponsor. It's going to help a lot of military charities and nonprofits locally here in Kansas City. And we thank Amazing Garage Floors for being at the forefront of that. Hutch has been on this for years. Years he's been involved with this event. But I strongly encourage any of you to go to the website, redwhiteandbluma.org, and do what you can. It's a great organization for service members. Red, White, and Bluma, B-L-U-M-A, redwhiteandbluma.org. It is Saturday night in Stillwell. And finally, a fun note here from the WWE. That's World Wrestling Entertainment. I'm not sure what it used to be WWF. It's sports entertainment. We know what it is. They've introduced a new wrestler. This is fun. The McMahons are Republicans. The people who started this organization are big-time conservatives. She, the wife, worked in the Trump administration. They're huge conservatives. They have come out with a wrestler this last week named Joe Gacy. He is already being referred to as the safe space wrestler. He has embraced the fact that he is where he is because he's a white male of privilege. He is everything woke you've ever heard. And he says it with a smile, and he tries to be so kind, and he says, this event for me is a safe space, and I know that I'm accepted, and you're accepted, and we're all accepted no matter who we are. And he goes through this, he's speaking, he goes through this litany of woke things and starts to get booed by people. They're starting to boo him and whatever. These people are smart at WWE. They're like, we're going to have a woke wrestler that we're going to make a bad guy out of. It's pretty funny. And, of course, he goes out and gets his butt whipped in about 4 minutes, gets pinned down, and everybody cheers because the woke dude just got crushed in the ring. And he gets up, and they interview him afterwards, and he says, well, that's okay. The better man won tonight, but I still believe this whole thing, this entire arena is a safe space for all of us where it's acceptance, it's inclusion, it's so many different things, and I'll be back, and I'll try again, but to me, it's unbelievable. This is great stuff. They're going to make a bad guy out of a woke white dude. I love it. Basically, what do we say a Karen is? A male version of a Karen is a Ken. His name should be Ken Gacy, not Joe, right? It should be. It should be Ken Gacy. But Joe Gacy, keep your eye on this. I'll watch it. I'll keep an eye on it. If there's some good clips out there of his ridiculousness and people booing him, that'll be fun. And I'll play them for you here on the podcast. Thank you, as always, for listening. Please tell your friends and relatives about Kevin Kietzman Has Issues. And if you haven't done it yet, please hit that like or follow button on the wherever you listen, whether it's Podbean, Apple, Google Play, Spotify, Screecher, anything that you're listening, Pandora, wherever you listen, they'll have a function where you can like or follow. Please do that. It really helps the podcast. And if you want to give us a rating, we'll take a rating as well. There's ways to rate whatever platform you listen on. Ratings are very good for the podcast. We'd love it if you give us a good 5-star rating on there. You don't have to put a comment on there if you don't want, but you can. Those things all help. It helps some sort of way in search engines and such and things of that nature. So I don't think people are going to the trouble, some have, of finding my podcast, people that hate what we're talking about on here, the libs. I don't think they're going to the trouble of finding it and rating it 0 or 1. I don't think they're doing that. So a 5-star rating goes a long way. We'll take whatever we can get, and hit that like or follow button if you'd like to become a patron. We'll have Lee Sterling's pickup the Thursday night game. We'll have that one available for all the patrons later on Thursday afternoon. If you're a patron, that is free. We've done 2. This will be the 3rd patron podcast this week, and we do a newsletter each weekend. So if you want more content, go to kkhasissues.com. I do a lot of personal stuff on those podcasts. This week, I explained why on that podcast I have not really been doing on this Gabby Petito story, why I've not been doing that on the regular podcast. I explain on the patron podcast why that is. I've got my own reasons and reasonings and things like that. So I share a lot of things there that we don't really share here. It feels like an inclusive kind of family group. If you'd like to join, kkhasissues.com is the way. It's only $5 a month or more if you'd like to get signed up for that. But just remember, wherever you go and you bump into people, tell them Kevin Kietzman Has Issues.
Thanks for listening to Kevin Kietzman Has Issues, presented by Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC. To get exclusive patrons-only podcasts, receive a weekly newsletter, and attend in-person patrons-only parties, visit kkhasissues.com and become a patron today. This has been a production of Crooked Tail Media Incorporated.